Aloha, everyone, and I hope you're having a fabulous holiday season. We had a wonderful Christmas, and we're looking forward to New Year's and just spending time with family and friends and hanging out and getting a little bit of work done in between. So I thought I'd get a blog up. I did take a few days off for Christmas and probably take a few more days off for New Year's. So I wanted to get to a blog that I thought was very appropriate for the holiday season. And a while back, I had mentioned that I could talk for a long time about happiness. And so someone had sent me a question about happiness. And from a Huna perspective, to talk a little bit more about happiness is what the person emailed me. So, quick, long story short, I was in the car and I was driving Ethan. I can't remember if it was to school or maybe it was to the airport. But anyway, I was driving Ethan, and he started asking me about what do I want for him as a kid? What does a parent want? And I said there are three things that I think we can agree on that deal with what we as parents might want for our kids. One is for our kids to be good, good people. Two is successful, and three is happy. I said to me, those are the big picture things. I mean, we can get detailed from that. And I said, but here's the weird thing. I said, I can't make you happy. I said, I can't make you successful. The only thing I think I have an influence on, really, is helping to install through repetition good behavior. To say please, to say thank you. And both Skylar and Ethan are praised a lot in school about how well-mannered they are, please and thank you. And Skylar even raises her hand when adults are talking. She's putting her hand up right now, but not right now, Pumpkin. Mwah. Thank you.
Welcome.
So, good, I think we have some control over. Well, Ethan didn't want to talk about being good. Ethan immediately wanted to talk about happiness. For some reason, that grabbed his attention. And so I said, Ethan, what's the deal with happiness? Why are you so fixated on this? Because we just started talking about it. And he said, well, I spend most of my day trying to make other people happy. And I said, well, did you hear, as a parent, I don't think I can make you be happy. And he responded, it was really cute. He responded and said, yeah, but Dad, you make me happy. I said, technically I don't. Not only from a Huna perspective, not only from an NLP perspective, from a psychological perspective. I can do certain things that will cause a person to then either choose to be happy or not. However, there's no direct cause and effect. And he said, sure, but the other day you bought me, I think it was a birthday present. And I said, yes. I said, but Ethan, have you ever opened up a Christmas present or a birthday present and gone, oh? And he said, yeah, and he laughed. And I said, so in other words, I can go to the store, I can pick a toy, and I can think this will, quote unquote, make you happy, but it might not. So in other words, I don't actually have any direct control over your happiness. I can do things that I think will help you feel happy, but ultimately, I can't make you happy. Does that make sense? And he goes, yes, I got it. But he had this weird look on his face. I said, so what's going on? He said, well, I spend a lot of my day trying to make my friends happy, trying to make my teacher happy. And he said, when I don't, it's just an awful day. So we started talking about, Ethan, do you have any control over making your teacher happy? And he said, no, technically not. I said, well, what can you do? He said, I can turn in my grades, and ultimately the teacher will be happy with that. However, if he or she doesn't have an emotional response to it, there's no direct cause and effect. I turn in my I turn in my assignments doesn't necessarily mean my teacher is going to be quote unquote happy. It might just mean that they're thrilled that I turned the grades in, or maybe they're just flat on it, or maybe they're in a bad mood anyway because of something that happened in some area of their life. And he looked at me and he said, well, what about my friends? And I said, well, Ethan, have you ever done everything you can to make a friend happy and yet they were still just grumpy? And he said, yes. He goes, it's very frustrating. I said, then what happens to you? He said, I get grumpy. And I said, and then what happens to them? They get more grumpy because they see me grumpy. And I said, it's this negative spiral going down, 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 down. And there's not really a huge recovery from this because I think a lot of people, and I said this to Ethan, I said, I think a lot of people go around believing it's their job to make other people happy. I think a lot of people go around believing if I do A, B, C, if I do X, Y, Z, that is going to make another person happy. And ultimately, when that fails, we become sad. We become miserable. Maybe we don't care. Maybe you're sitting there going, I don't care. Maybe you're sitting there going, I don't even care about making people happy. Well, good. You got a leg up on the rest of us. Because I said to Ethan, I said, look, here's the deal. Do you think other people out there want to see you happy? Hear that you're happy. Get that feel from you that you are happy. And he said, yes. I said, how many people do you think are out there on this planet thinking it's their job to make their kids, their spouse, their loved one happy? And Ethan said, I think a lot of people. And I said, I agree. I said, here's just an out there idea. Here's an out there concept. Are you ready? If other people want to see you happy and think that they helped to make you happy, what if you just did something completely different than the rest of the world and just focused on your own happiness? Because listen, at the end of the day, no one can make you feel anything. That's kind of like a fact that I think we all have to recognize. Can people do things that cause you to feel a certain way? No, technically not. Can people do things that you then choose to feel a certain way? Yes. Are there universal negatives in the world that will cause many people to feel negative? Yes. I'm not discounting that. Can a huge tragedy occur and a large amount of people feel sadness? Yes. And just take a moment and think about it. Ultimately, if there was a true cause and effect, if even a huge tragic event would cause people to feel a certain way, it would cause everyone to feel that way. And I can tell you specific tragic events where one group of people are rejoicing over the event and another group are sad. Think of terrorist attacks. Think of bombings that occur all around the planet. Think of people that go out there and do horrific things. Some people celebrate it, some people don't. So there's no direct cause and effect. Getting back to happiness, I said, Ethan, you can't make someone feel a certain way, and yet we go around trying to do this. I said, here's a revolutionary idea. I said, Ethan, why don't you spend the rest of today just making yourself happy? You just as an individual being happy, feeling great, feeling good for no good reason. And I said, and watch how people respond to you. Imagine if you just spent your day being happy. I said, what would happen? He said, I think other people would think that they made me happy. And I went, and great, and let them live that belief. How would that make them feel? I said, because Ethan, how do you feel when other people are happy around you? He said, I feel happy. I said, so in other words, if you did this, if you just focused on yourself, if you focused on your own happiness, happiness would spread then, and we would all be spiraling upwards because we would just see everyone happy, thinking that we had some sort of control over it, that we did something, and ultimately, let's all get selfish and just make ourselves happy. Be happy for yourself. Now, Ethan, being a pretty quick little kid there, he said, well, Dad, well, Christmas is coming up, and this was a few months ago that we talked about this. I said, yes. He said, well, I guess then you're not going to buy us anything. You're just going to buy things for yourself and make yourself happy. And I said, now here's the interesting thing, Ethan. When I buy things for my kids and I watch them open it, the joy of them opening their presents, that's why I think this discussion is so great for this time of year. Just the joy of watching them open their presents and the wonder that they had in their eyes and did Santa visit and how did he fit down the chimney and why does he come to Hawaii last? All of these questions. I said, that made me happy, Ethan. And so to me, making yourself happy includes doing things for others, especially if you have loved ones around you, a spouse, kids, parents. When you do things for them, rather than thinking you're doing it to make them happy, why don't you just recognize the fact that by doing it, you feel good about doing it? Be okay with that. I would say almost be selfish with this and make yourself happy by helping other people become happy in their life. And by seeing you happy, I think they'll get even happier than they already are. Anyway, that's just my little talk on happiness. I hope that made you happy. Did that make you happy, Skylar?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. And again, I hope you have a fabulous new year. I'll see if I can squeeze another one in before the New Year's one. I will make sure I wanted to do this happiness one during this time. So the first thing is we say Malama Pono, we all stand in righteousness. Aloha Keakua, love is our shield. We say you don't have to be perfect. You just need to do your what?
Best.
Very good. And aloha ahui ho, class dismissed. Love you all.